So if you can turn your attention inwardly to the inner peace, the causeless piece of our being, which is where we recognize each other as one, where we recognize each other as this one ocean. Which is the effortless presence and welcome your experience, whichever way it's appearing to you. The silence, and the sensations in the body. Whatever thoughts are appearing. Allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into presence, into being. As presence, we don't need a name. We don't need to remember anything about ourselves, about the past, about the future. Whatever needs to be remembered appears effortlessly as needed. But for now, we can simply be and recognize ourselves as this presence, awareness that has no borders, that does not belong to any one or anything. And to delight in and as this presence. Which has no agenda. It's sufficient unto itself. Although this effortless presence is invisible, effortlessly aware. Aware that it is. I am aware that I am. although this aware presence is invisible and formless, it appears as this perception, as this sensation. It appears as a hearing. Appears as the sensation of your back against the couch or the chair. Without anything being at stake. Without defending, protecting, resisting. It's effortless welcoming. Indiscriminate. The gateless gate. Irrespective of whatever appears on the screen, such as images, thoughts, sensations. You remain the effortless, invisible awareness. Like the wide open sky remains infinite, irrespective of the presence or absence of clouds, remains unchanged, irrespective of the size and shape and color of the clouds. So I recognize myself as this the reality of consciousness, of awareness. Non-phenomenal, meaning non-objective, and yet undeniable. I recognize myself as that. It's transparent, beyond words. There may be a gender attributed to the body. There may be a certain quality to the sensation of your feet on the ground. But as it comes to awareness, that which perceives the reality which is and which I am, there is no gender. Consciousness, awareness is not tall or short. Awareness is not feeling good or bad, hoping to become a better awareness tomorrow. We know that intuitively because we are that. A thought may arise saying, oh no, you are this person or that person. You are this particular body-mind. A feeling may arise that I am. Sitting on a chair. You may hear the sound of traffic. You may perceive a thought or an image. They appear and disappear. Like the belief that I am sitting on this chair, or the feeling that I'm sitting on the chair is an appearance. Which we are free to accept or not. I perceive the thought that says, you are immortal body-mind. Do I need to respond to such a thought with a resounding yes, you're right? Or can I question How true is that? How can a thought which I perceive, or a feeling which I perceive, know me, that which perceives the thought, that which perceives the feeling? On what ground do I respond to the thought? Yes, you're right. I am made out of flesh and bones. On what ground do I accept the sensation which appears to me as if it is knowing? While in fact it is not knowing, it is known. Can I come to clarity that whatever it is that I know, that I perceive, does not know me, does not perceive? Can I come to clarity that defining myself, perceiving myself via the prism of thoughts and feelings is illogical? That which is perceived does not know anything about that which perceives. Can that, whatever it is, which is hearing these words right now, can that be denied? We know deep down that an object, a form, is perceived, but it does not perceive. The binoculars or the telescope, these sophisticated instruments and tools, do not perceive. We are clear about that. The body-mind is a sophisticated instrument. The instrument does not perceive. The computer, no matter how sophisticated it is, does not perceive. It is I which perceives. I. What is this I? I is itself, the reality of all experience. The mind cannot recognize that which is beyond it, thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. Cannot recognize or say anything about that which knows them. The core of ignorance and misunderstanding is believing that you are the body-mind. Is believing that you are the instrument, that you are the computer. You are not. You are not the binoculars, you are the bird watcher. You are not the telescope, you are the astronomer. You are not the computer, you are the programmer, the creator of the computer. You are not the body-mind. In this moment, in every moment, you are consciousness. You've never been the body-mind. You've never been a limited mortal object. And it is in your hands to recognize that and to cease abiding with the false identity, which is unhappy, not only for yourself, but across the board. Moment by moment, whenever the false identity arises to you, it will arise to you as images, memories, perceptions, sensations. Remain as you are, that which perceives, without defining yourself by the thoughts, the images, the sensations that appear to you a dime a dozen. Okay, so if you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, please make sure you unmute your mic and any questions?
Hey, Maggie, it's Frank.
Frank, hello, Frank.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
A question about decision making. So I was kind of under the impression that every time the body mind, I know the body mind does not make decisions, but my understanding of it was that, let's say I'm at the refrigerator and I have to decide between chocolate milk, vanilla milk. And I like both, but then I have to make a decision. And then I pick the chocolate one, and then I drink it, and then there's a thought that says I made that decision. So that's another thought that says that. So I never really made any decisions at all. It was just all thoughts, one after the other. How does that coincide with? Because you were talking about how
Yes.
Consciousness really makes the decisions.
Yes. Now, it is obviously I that made the decision, Frank. When you say I did not make the decision, I'm not sure that if I ever said that. It's always I that makes the decision. But I is not Frank. So take a look at how, here you are in front of first there is a thought that appears to you. I'm thirsty. I'd like to drink some milk. So as a result of that thought, you go to the refrigerator, open the refrigerator, and there are two choices. And so there is a thought, let me see, I have chocolate milk, I have vanilla milk. I'm not sure which one I feel like drinking. And then the thought arises, chocolate milk. And you drink chocolate milk. And so the question is, wait a minute, I didn't make that choice, but who made that choice? You made that choice. You made the choice, you, consciousness. First, the thought, I'm thirsty, arose from where? It didn't arise out of another thought. A thought does not arise out of another thought. A thought does not arise out of a sensation. A thought does not arise out of a perception. An object does not arise out of another object. Where does the thought arise from? These words right now, where are they arising from? Yes, there is an instrument. There is a body-mind instrument. There is a brain that is trained in the English language. There is yes, there is an instrument. Muted, okay. But it's not the instrument who is making the choice. The instrument is a vehicle via which I am speaking these words. Where are these words coming from? They're coming from I. Where does any thought arise from? It arises out of consciousness. And the way you can, for example, test that is when you look at consciousness awareness and you look at the thought, say, put them together, bring up the thought, I love New York City, and see if there is any possibility for the thought to exist outside of awareness. It's not possible for any thought to exist independently of awareness. Yes? So when I say, for example, well, there is no personal doer, I'm not referring to I consciousness. I'm referring to the belief that there is a body-mind, which is a doer. But as you said in your question, you said that you know that it is not the body-mind that is making its choice. And then you said, well, then I am not making the choice. No, that's not true. You are making the choice. You are making all choices. But the I, which is making the choice, is the real I, the only I there is. What is the I right now? What is I right now? Frank is a bundle of images, memories, sensations. The name of the body, mom and dad, they like the name Frank. They said that we're gonna name this boy, our boy Frank. They named the body Frank. The body mind, which we call Frank, is not the I. You perceive the body. You perceive the sensations. You perceive the image. The fact that you perceive the body means you are the perceiver of the body. You are the awareness and not the body. So you cannot define yourself as the body. It is the I that decided to have the chocolate milk is the male body mind called Frank. No, it is I which decides Frank. And there is only one I, one reality, one consciousness, which decides all decisions. So we have the capacity to perceive, to decide, and to understand. All of these qualities, they refer to consciousness, to awareness, not to the body-mind. So we can comprehend, we can understand that I refers to awareness. And therefore, once we understand that, whenever out of old habit, we are using I to refer to the body-mind, at that moment, we have the option of going down that road or saying, wait a minute, been there, done that, that's a falsehood. I am this borderless aware presence, the transparent aware presence. So the confusion I think that you're having is between using the term I. I only use the term I to refer to one I across the board, not to Magdi, not to Frank, not to, I'm referring always, always, always to the one I, the only I there is. Awareness, consciousness. Now, the mind, which has been so conditioned to believe that, oh, well, decisions are, it is a person making those decisions. When that conditioned way of thinking, he hears what I'm just sharing with you now, that the decision maker and the soul doer is universal consciousness. That conditioned way of thinking says, well, how do I know that? I don't know that. All I know is myself. That's what this sense of me says. But it's important to understand that thought that believes that it knows, a thought that disguises itself as the magistrate, is not a real magistrate. It's just it's a field. It's a field of it's a pixel. It's a sensory pixel of thoughts and sensations. There's only one knowingness. Only the magistrate knows. Thoughts that says, well, oh, gee, I don't know. I mean, I'm not, thoughts cannot know anything. So you have to be a little wary of this train of thought that says, well, I, Frank, don't know that. In fact, Frank cannot know anything. Frank is a body-mind. The only knowingness is the knowingness that belongs to consciousness awareness. So remain with that which you know in your experience is absolute, which is awareness. And allow the trains of thoughts to be what they are, like the weather. We're not gonna bet our fortune on the weather. Bet your fortune on consciousness. You'll always win. All right, Frank. Thanks. So we may have a couple of trollers there. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some help from Holger. I know Holger is. Let's.
Yeah, I'm removing it already.
Yeah, let's put a gate. You know, is there like a way to put a how do you say?
There was a way to remove them.
Yeah, I know, but there's also enable waiting room. That's it. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
I think that's a good way to go. Okay. Some stupid. All right. Sometimes. So, Karen, did you have a question, Karen? Maybe not. Your hand was raised. Let me see. Anyways, any questions? If you have any questions, please unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself, Karen? No? Let me see if I can unmute you. No? You should be able to unmute your mic. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I hear you now. Yes, yes, yes.
When you were talking, I kept thinking about free will as it relates to our consciousness. Do we actually have free will? Just kept thinking about that and would like to hear what you thought.
Yes.
What your thoughts were on that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. You know, Karen, when you asked the question, do I have free will? It's important to clarify when you say I, what are you referring to? That's very important. You drive your car, okay. Does the car have free will? No, the driver has the free will in a relative way of speaking. The driver decides to turn the wheel to the right, to the left, brakes, etc. So the free will, there is a free will, but where does it belong? What does it belong to? Usually we have a habit out of our conditioning. We believe and we feel we are this person, this woman, this man, this daughter, this mother, this person. And so we believe we are the car. We feel we are the car. Yes, that's, you know, so we argue, you know, anybody who would say that, who would say otherwise, is, you know, anybody who says, no, you're not the body, you're consciousness, say, well, it doesn't resonate with how I feel. I feel I'm this body mind. I am this suit, this bundle of sensations. I feel like I am these images. So you have to take a look at that to come to clarity that these images and these sensations, they appear to you. And you don't need to define yourself by what appears to you. You perceive your car, you love your body, you love your house. But you don't need to define yourself via what you love or don't love. You see. What you feel. You may feel, you know, a certain feeling. No matter how intense this feeling is, or how persistent this feeling is, or how recurrent this feeling is. It's just an image on the screen. Now, some people say, well, wait a minute, I never feel that I'm not the body. I always feel I'm the body. So it's not an image on the screen, it's the screen itself. But that's not true, because most of the day, you're not even feeling you're the body. You're talking on the phone, a business meeting on the phone, you're not thinking you're feeling on the body, you're just in the conversation. In sleep, in deep sleep, in sleep, sometimes you feel you're a butterfly. Yes, you're feeling your butterfly. You actually experience like you're flying. So this argument that, well, I feel I'm the body all the time, therefore I must be the body, is not true. It's not true. So it's really important in terms of free will to be clear about, what do we mean by I? Now, obviously, I am hearing these words. Like I said earlier, of course, there is a body mind. There is very sophisticated computer here, the brain, the breath, the auditory mechanism. All of that is operating, perfectly in the bodies, the body mind. But the question is it the body mind that hears? What is it that hears? What is it that perceives? What is it that says, yes, I want chocolate milk, I don't want, it's my freedom, my freedom. Your freedom is absolute, but it's not the freedom of the body. The body is limited. It has no absolute freedom. If you bump your head and you have a little bit of a concussion, God forbid, I'm talking theoretically, it can alter how you're hearing by maybe 40% or 50%, who knows? But the I, whether you're hearing a soft sound or a loud sound, it's the same I. So obviously, I that hears is not dependent on the instrument. It's not. What I hear depends on the instrument. But that which hears does not depend on the instrument. In other words, if I have a very good binocular, what I see depends on if the binocular is 10x or 100x. 100x binocular is, I can see so much. So what I see, what I perceive is connected to the instrument. But that which perceives, whether I'm perceiving a bird this small or that big, I'm the same I, same awareness, consciousness. So right now, we've been talking for maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, whatever it is. It's the same I. The I has not changed. But of course, the sounds have changed. What I've said has changed. So many things have changed in the body. The cells are dancing, the hair is growing, nails are growing, whatever. All sorts of things happening. The temperature may be dropped a little bit in the room. Your body temperature may be dropped by 1/100th of a degree, who knows? But the I hasn't changed. Awareness hasn't changed. And awareness is not a concept. We know awareness as our direct experience. When I say I am aware, you understand. You say, yeah, why? Because we have the same experience of awareness. We understand, we understand because, not because we have studied, we have went to the same class and graduated and got good grades and now we know the same subject matter. No, we know awareness as our direct experience. So in terms of your question about free will, absolutely there is free will. And that's the beauty of freedom, free will. Yes, 100,000% free will. There is no limit to God's freedom. But there is no such thing as a human freedom. Zero. It's always consciousness that is free. It's always consciousness, God, awareness, universal beingness that chooses. And so in some teachings, they say, well, there is no free will, no freedom. Everything is happening of its own. That's partially true. In the realm of manifestation, everything seems to be happening on its own, because we don't perceive, we don't have the capacity to perceive phenomenally the intricate interaction of all the fields. We don't. But psychologically, we say, well, there is no personal self, there is no limited me, so therefore there is no will, no free will, no doer, no doing. But that's not true. We all have the sense that, wait a minute, I chose to join this meeting. That's not an illusion. We all know that we chose. We're just mistaken about what is it that's choosing. We believe it's the body mind that's choosing. In fact, it is consciousness that chose. The body mind responded in this case. And in the direct path, there is a key choice that is available to us meaning to consciousness, to I consciousness, which is to choose ignorance. In other words, to choose the belief that I am a woman, I'm a person. As soon as you choose to be a person, to be a body mind, and to feel, therefore, that you're a body mind, you will experience the sense of lack, the anxiety, the worry, the fear of extinction. You will experience the negative emotions, what I refer to as the unhappiness. This is a key choice. And that's a choice that we make randomly. I'm saying randomly, why? Because there is no ground, no basis, no evidence. There is no logical ground upon which to base that belief, that choice. It's an inherited, it's a choice that's arising out of habit, which is to choose to believe that I awareness, the transparent awareness, is a female body mind. And when we make that choice, we feel mortal and limited. That's the story of our life for many of us. And identifying with the body mind is it's like identifying with your car. It's very nice when it's brand new and engine is revving and everything is shiny, or with a beautiful outfit that you bought. It's really beautiful. You wear it every day. You go out. And it's very nice. But at some point you need another one. So I don't like to poo-poo free will. I like for us to have some clarity about free will. And I hope that this is helpful to clarify your question.
Where's Mama?
I don't know.
Okay, Karen. Yes. So, any questions? Hello, Amna. Oh, Amna, you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now, Amna. Yes.
Okay. So I have a few questions. My first one is regarding, like in terms of how to make money with something that, like a career, but like I can't think of a different way to ask, but like how to find your calling.
Well, I mean, a calling, the way I understand calling is something very, very personal that you may have within yourself, a certain calling towards being an artist, being a musician, or being an engineer, or working in agriculture, you know, sustainable agriculture, whatever. I mean, calling knocks on your door from inside, and you hear it. You know? You hear it, and you feel this is what you want to do. You're happy. That's what you would be happy doing. That's a calling. When there is a calling, there is a realistic and unrealistic, realistic and unrealistic calling. That can be a calling that is easy to fulfill, or it's a calling that's impossible to fulfill. Like maybe a calling that is easy to fulfill, but doesn't pay you, doesn't allow you to it's not practical. You cannot live off it. And there may be a calling that you can live off, but somehow it's not lining up. So in terms of career, work, making a living, paying the bills, you know, Francis and Jean, he quotes his teacher Jean Klein as saying that that, you know, we work way too much. We shouldn't be working more than 4 or 5 hours a day. So ideally, if you could somehow find something that you can do for a few hours a day and that brings you enough income for you to live relatively comfortably, then that would be great. In my case, I, you know, because I was an immigrant to this country, I came with what they call the immigrant mentality. So I worked, or, you know, sometimes I worked 2, 3, 4 jobs. Yeah, I was young then, and so I got caught up in the whole psychology of like pushing hard, working hard. And I felt after some time that that's not what I wanted to do. That I wanted to get to a place where I'm working much less and everything is flowing, the abundance. But it took a while to get there because it's not easy to steer a big ship, you know. Now, the thing to understand that everything comes from beyond. It doesn't come from the human being or from the human mind. The human mind is illumined. It's illumined by consciousness. It's illumined by God. And the world is a world of abundance. It's not a world of scarcity. The human mind, in some conditioned way, does not perceive the abundance. It's always operating from a place of scarcity. So you have to trust the abundance, to say yes to the infinite, yes to the absolute, yes to the abundance. Now, every person's circumstances are different. Different people have different skills. I had a brother who was a company man all his life. For me, in my whole life, I was a company man for like 2 months. The rest of the time, I was an entrepreneur. I was my own boss. I couldn't stand having somebody as my boss. That's me. I think overall, it's not a good idea for a truth lover to have a boss. It's a good idea to be your own boss as much as possible. So think creatively. Think about what you can create. It's interesting, like yesterday, I was with Tara. Yesterday or the day before. Anyways, we went into this store. It's a Yogananda fellowship down in Encinitas, I think. And we were looking at things there, and I noticed they had this beautiful room divider, let's say, that was made out of some old wood that they brought from India, you know. And it was like just fantastic. It was like really, really, really beautiful. It had these beautiful arches, and it was just some old wood that was carved in a certain way, not too intricate, not like that very intricate carving. And so I asked the salesperson, "Wow, this is really beautiful, and where did that come from?" It came from a wealthy Indian family in India that somehow they had a mansion. And so the thought arose to me, well, heck, you know, it shouldn't cost much to hire a carpenter, get some old lumber from somewhere and build something like that in a day and sell it for $5,000-6,000. That's my entrepreneurial mind. But the reason I'm sharing that with you is that you just loosen your mind. And there's infinite possibilities. And the mind is very creative. So ideally, if you can create a business even better out of your own home or out of a small office, not too much, very low rent, and have a couple of people helping you or more, starting some sort of business, you know, mailing something, manufacturing, doing something like, you know, just today I was out with Tara downtown here in Temecula, and we drove by this strip of restaurants, and there was this one restaurant that they had very few people, and yet Temecula is a busy town. People like to go out and spend money. So the thought came to mind, was like, heck, I mean, you know, if I was young and willing, I would go to this owner and tell this owner, look, I'm going to double your business in 6 months. Okay, this is my fee, whatever my fee is. And market the heck out of, you know, out of this, this restaurant and build their business. Just a thought, just a random thought. If I own a restaurant and somebody comes to me and tells me, hey, look, I'm going to double your business or triple your business in 6 months, you know, and this is my fee, I would say, yeah. I would say, yeah. Yeah, you're on. You're on this, you know, let's try it out. So you don't need to be so traditional about making a living. You know, years ago, I was an engineer and I worked as an engineer 2 months, and I said, okay, that's good enough. That's good. 2 months is good enough. So at some point, I started to bake it was Easter, and I was in New York City. And the thought came to me to make an Easter bread. At the time, they had in New York City gourmet shops. I don't know if they have them where you are, but they had gourmet shops. So I read in this magazine how to make a braided, like a brioche Easter bread, where you put a couple of eggs in it and you put the egg wash and it's nice and shiny. And so I made a couple and I went to this gourmet shop. I walked in, yes, yeah, hello, what do you want to buy? I say, I don't want to buy anything, but I have this bread. I make this bread. I can sell it for. A few years later, I owned one wholesale bakery. I have like maybe 50 or 60 clients, and I owned 2 cafes in New York City. I mean, you know, I never got a degree in business or baking or anything like that. Anyways, I did a variety of things. So, I mean, the thing is, what's really nice in the States, in the States, you have, yeah, it's easy, you know, relatively easy, comparatively speaking, to other countries. So don't block yourself, you know. Give yourself, and also the other thing is, don't sell yourself cheap. So, you know, if you have something that you want to sell in, costs you $5, and you're thinking maybe I should sell it for $7, sell it for 12. And sell it for 12. Yeah, make the money. Why? Because it's a flow. It's a flow. Somebody gets the money, gives you the money, you give the money to somebody else. It's a flow. So money is a flow. It's not, it doesn't like come and stops here, you know. Like a river, it flows. Wherever it flows, it nourishes the land, right?
Mm-hmm. I just want to read that down. Yeah, there's like well, earlier you said like it's better for a truth lover not to have to be their own
own boss. Yeah.
Yeah, their own boss.
It's better. It's really you have more freedom being your own boss. And freedom, I mean, freedom is lovely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to work for others and with others, it's very important to be completely fair, honest, and sincere with your clients and with your partners. Or have to. It's very important that everybody wins. You know, you don't want to win at the expense of somebody else. That's not right. It won't. It doesn't work this way. The way it works is that everybody's winning. Everybody's gaining something out of it.
And then when you said, like when you were talking about money being a flow and to not sell yourself short, I know for me, like there's that struggle with like, or it comes up this block of like unworthiness. Like a lot of the time when I do services, it's like
You're unworthy.
Yeah, like.
Well, it depends what you mean. I mean, the I that I am is God's presence. You know, God is not unworthy. There is only one I. You know, there isn't multiplicity of I. There's one I that takes on the form of infinite bodies and infinite forms. Right? We all refer to ourselves as I. We refer to the body as, you know, Magdi, Amna, etc. We all refer to ourselves as I. We refer to our car as a Toyota, as a Volkswagen, as a Mercedes. But that's just the body, right? So when you say I am unworthy, the I that you're referring to is the only one I there is, the I of consciousness, what we refer to as God's truth, God's reality. And obviously that's not unworthy. You are confusing, you're referring to, I don't know what you're referring. What is it that's unworthy? Well, I mean, the body mind is limited, of course. If that's what you mean, yeah, we all agree on that. But it has nothing to do with worthiness.
There is just a sensation that comes up. Like it's a sensation.
It could be like an old conditioning, maybe from your youth, you picked up, this belief that, or this feeling that you say is I'm unworthy or whatever, it's just, it's just a, like a, in the caves, our ancestors, they used to do paintings on the walls in the cave, it's just a painting on the wall of the cave.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an impression. It's just an impression, but you can come to understanding. Right? That's why there is understanding. If there was no understanding, we'd be stuck in the same. Obviously, there is understanding. Understanding is like the light. So we understand. When there is understanding, we go from A to B. Automatically. Boom. We understand that this being unworthy is some kind of imprint that was imprinted upon the body mind at some point in your past. But you are not the body mind. You are not this imprint. You are here, the fresh presence, right? You're not here as a past entity, right? I mean, you're not here as yesterday's I'm not. No, you're here freshly as fresh consciousness, as this fresh presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where is the store? Where is the imprint? Where is the unworthiness in this? You have to go to the past to pick up some trash from the garbage can and say, well, okay, here is the trash. No, you don't. You're here, fresh presence, moment by moment. You don't need to carry the BS from yesterday, whatever that is. I don't know what. It's all narratives, false narratives, which has nothing to do with presence or with awareness, with reality, with the infinite abundance of consciousness. But if you define yourself in terms of the past, then you limit your freedom.
So when it arises, like this thought and the feeling that come with it, like I'm not deserving. What's the invitation?
It's like a sound. You're hearing a sound. It's a perception. So the invitation is obviously not to buy it, not to buy into it. You can feel it. It's a sensation. And sensation is just an impression in the body. But like all sensations, they arise and they dissolve, they disappear. Except if you buy it. If you buy into it, then you say, oh, geez, why am I unworthy? Oh God, I thought I was more worthy. Then you're spinning it. And so you're digging it deeper and deeper into your body.
So to not buy it is to understand that I is God's presence.
Yes, you are like the wide open sky. I mean, here are these words. You're hearing these words. They're appearing to you, and you're understanding some words, and they're dissolving, right?
Yeah.
So everything that appears to you appears and dissolves. You get it, right? That's your experience,
Yeah.
right? So you understand that. So you have an understanding. You need to honor your understanding. You have, if you don't honor your understanding, then what's the point of, let's not even talk. If you understand something, oh, wait a minute, everything that appears disappears absolutely, not disappears, it goes in my back pocket or in my wallet. No, it disappears absolutely. Now, whatever you're bringing up again from the past is a fresh arising but it carries with it a story about a fictitious you, while you, this aware presence right now, is not a story. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to sort of be, well, Francis used the term benevolent indifference. Just to be benevolent indifference. All right? Just be to.
I would like to ask another question.
Okay.
Do we have time for that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, my other question is the like wanting to control.
Mm-hmm.
Could you say
About wanting to control?
yeah, like
Well,
what?
in some cases, it makes sense, you know, that if you got a dog, you know, that's a little, you know, barks at everybody and is a pain in the butt. You're going to do something to train this dog and to control the dog's behavior. You know, at some point the dog, you know, come in and say, hey, they're not going to bark at me. They're going to lick my hand. Okay. So in some cases, it makes sense to control, as long as you're not trying to protect or defend a fictitious me. The dog is going to bark, and that's not fictitious. That's like a pin in the butt, okay? So you want the dog to stop, okay? Barking all the time. There's no fictitious me. It's like you want to get some rest, and that dog won't stop barking. Now,
So go ahead, sorry.
and when you're trying to control in order to preserve some fictitious me, it's not a psychological, there is a psychological dimension to your control, then you are feeding the illusion that there is something at stake for somebody. So there are differences between situations that on a practical level require, on a logical level, require a certain degree of attendance and tending to, and the fictitious me, the story of me. She's controlling me, he's controlling me, I'm controlling him, I'm controlling her. But yeah.
So like I'm talking more about the second one, and it's like I notice I have this pattern of like trying, and it's more about like trying to control myself and what I do and how I show up, and then or like
yeah, you know, we are social animals. We exist in a pack, so it makes sense for you to fit into the tribe to a certain degree. But it can get out of hand. So you play the game of relationship, and
so not even that, like just for example, like controlling how much time I spend on social media. It's like I would have this time, like I have these like, it's like extremes. It's like completely get off of it, or like like spending so many hours on. Like that would be an example.
Well, that's between you and yourself. I mean, if for some reason you're unhappy that you're spending too much time on social media, for example, I mean, why do you want to continue doing things that make you unhappy? You know, so I wouldn't make it a thing about control, no control. I would say it's about happiness. If you are unhappy, then you take a look into it and you see what you can do about it, so you can have a more harmonious, more peaceful, happy with yourself, happy in your activities. I wouldn't
That makes
complicate it
sense.
with control or no control. I would just look at happiness. If you are happy spending 12 hours or 24 hours, you know, look, and you can do it and it's not a problem, go ahead.
Yeah, that's very simple, because like the pattern is like there's the unhappiness spending that much time, and then there's that control that comes in. It's like, all right, completely stop. Like you shouldn't slow it down.
Yeah, it's about happiness. So you work it in the way that is the smoothest way for you. But it's about happiness, right? It's not so much about control.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. Any questions? Frank, I just saw a comment you made here. You say, so the thought that says, I, Frank, shows that is also consciousness. Yes, it is consciousness, which is saying, I, Frank, I, the body mind, shows that. So, in other words, yes, consciousness chooses ignorance. It is consciousness that says, yes, I am Frank. And it is consciousness that also goes, wait a minute, of course I'm not Frank. So here you are at the crossroad. The crossroad is, on one hand, you, consciousness, can choose to be Frank and miserable. Or your consciousness can recognize that, well, no, I am not Frank. I am this transparent, aware presence, and be happy. Make the right choice. Okay. Thank you all. Nathan, Karen, Amna, Holger, Trish, John, Lauren, Patrick, hi Patrick, Malcolm, Grace, Frank, George, and Zoe. Thank you all.